Well, the establishment regime just got their asses handed to them in an election. It is remarkable. It is a complete rejection of the regime, complete rejection of the establishment, complete rejection of the way things have been going. It feels fantastic. I'm going to do a podcast for a few days now. Obviously, election night had plenty of people doing them. So, and I'm small time, so who cares if I did one? And the next morning, I went hunting, partially because of Joe Biden's wonderful economy. I need to feed my family. Somehow, putting a deer in the freezer is the way to go, which I did not get a deer, but secondly, I love hunting, so it was just a nice way for me to kind of decompress in the midst of the election. And on Tuesday night, I went to bed, tried to go to bed early because I was hunting the next day. Woke up in the middle of the night. By the time I'd woken up, it was already in the bag. It looked like a complete sweep across the board for everything. As of right now, it's still the House is up for grabs for the most part, but it's still looking like Republicans might take the House too. Oh man, so much to talk about, so much to think about this. To me, the most exciting part about this whole thing is that America rejected the status quo. America rejected this political movement that's been going on in this country since the end of the Cold War. Going from, George H.W. Bush till now, save for that weird little snippet of Trump being there in between, but Biden was the return to normalcy. Remember, that was what he was elected for. He was supposed to continue that thing that George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama thing. He was supposed to continue that. And so people were like, okay, let's just go back to normal. And then we went back to normal and people said, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this because it is making things worse. Our country is falling apart. And they become so insane. They are going after political opponents using lawfare. They're claiming that half of Americans are evil fascists. It was crazy. If you really think about what that represented, that was the mandate of a century for this country given to a party. Will they follow through? Only time will tell. As of right now, I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but there are a few signals here that give me some solace. First off, being the people he's surrounded himself with this time. Last time he did a terrible job surrounding himself with people that were desperate to keep that political movement going, that way of doing things going. That was always a big part of what people disliked about how he did things before. And I think you get in your corner and you have Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson and Vivek Ramaswamy. You have all these people. You have JD Vance at your disposal to help you do it right this time. People that were knowingly going to go after the establishment in some way, if they were able to do it on their own, and they're all doing it together. This is what it should have been like the first time. And I think that's what gives me hope that something may come of this. This feels hopeful for like the first time in forever. For a very long time, I was so kind of just in this limbo world of like, I can't picture 5 years into this future anymore. I can't picture a future for my kids. I can't picture like my life, me growing old in this country and like having a job and an income and a future and raising my kids. And, like it just seemed like I was living in the moment, but not in a good way. In a way where I was just kind of, you just felt like it was just, there's nothing to look forward to. Everything's just going to get worse. And then if she had gotten elected, it was always this thing in the back of my head, like, how do we survive this? How does this country survive this? Now, I don't want you to take this as I think that Donald Trump's the savior. That's not my point. My point is that if we get the right people in there with him to just fix this broken system, fix it all, gut the federal government, gut out these worthless bureaucrats, cut back on spending, end the war. I mean, there's so many great things that could be done. I think that's what people feel right now. That's what people were hoping for. They're telling them, you have to go through and do this, right? That's kind of what happened with the whole ordeal with this election. It was like, listen, we're giving you a shot. You better not let us down this time, because people are fed up. And it was weird because I was driving home from hunting and I don't know why this particular thing just hit me, but where I was hunting in this little dinky town in Michigan, there's a historic restaurant / lodge, and there's a whole little like historic downtown. Somebody bought it, fixed it up. It's just for like tourists and stuff. Basically, people go there and it's expensive food, and in the winter during this time of year they have carriage rides and stuff like that. It's a cool place, but I saw they had Christmas decorations up. I don't know why this hit me particularly hard, like the way it made me feel. But I was looking at this, and I'm like, normally it's like, oh, this time of year it's like Christmas decorations. It's so early, like, ugh. But this time I was like, it gave me this feeling of like, could this really be like a Christmas that time, like the last just crappy, depressing time, and the past several years, it's just been like so much pressure and and there's no money to be had, and there's no jobs, and things just always felt depressing, like the future was so bleak. And seeing this, it was like, just made me feel kind of hopeful. I don't know what it was about that particular thing that triggered that in me, but it just did. I was just looking at it, I'm like, it made me feel like at peace in a way that like, that this whole system got rejected. People gave a big middle finger to the establishment, to the deep state, to the intelligence agencies, to it all. And it's like, in the future, well, like things could be more bright. And I think that's what that was to me. It was like, for a moment, I sat there thinking like, wow, I can actually see the future holiday season in a different light now, crazy. It what filled me with this weird thing. And I have been like, just, there's just a weird feeling right now of relief that this whole thing's over, and that it was such a resounding rejection of everything that it just makes me feel so good inside. I as far as like whether it was Trump or not, I don't really care in that regard. What I care about is that people gave a big middle finger to it all. They gave a big middle finger to censorship, to the wars, to the bureaucracy, to the blob, to the regulation. They gave a middle finger to it all. And not only that, she was resoundingly defeated, where they lost Not only did they lose everything, they lost the popular vote too. For the first time since George W. Bush in 2004, a Republican won the popular vote. It was nice to wake up that at that point in the night and see that it was over. Everything was over. I didn't have to sit there and worry about for weeks whether this was going to carry on forever or whether things were going to pop up in the middle. You know, it was just, and you look at like everything that just has happened in the last 8 years, the sham impeachments, the weaponization of the justice system, the wars that we've been dealing with, the push for censoring mis and disinformation, the pandemic, all of it. And it's like we can finally enter a new era here. Because for once, that has been rejected. All of that has been rejected. People were done. They're done with it. It just feels good, right? And I've just been on this like kind of a high of just, I want a future where those people don't have control of our lives anymore. I have hope for a future where like my kids can be healthy. We can be done with the wars. We can, we could finally have a fair system to the point like where people get an equal say. Social media doesn't try to censor certain people. Where, we can live in a country where that actually focuses inward when it comes to things like manufacturing and production and just gut the deep state, gut the establishment. It makes me feel like I'm on a high. So I'm a Michigan fan, right? Diehard Michigan fan my whole life since I was a little kid. I know I'm sure that annoys people, but Michigan won a national championship in this year, actually. Kind of a weird thing this year, but they're terrible now. But this year they won a national championship, and it was like years of watching them struggle, finally getting to the playoff, can't get over the hump, right? They finally win the playoff game. That was like the ultimate euphoria. Finally beat Ohio State. Huge euphoric feeling. Finally win a playoff game. Then win a national championship. And it's like this feeling of just like, okay, my fandom is complete, right? This thing here, like this year, as far as them sucking, I don't really care. And then when it comes to something like this, it's like that level of just, I feel like things have finally come to a point where it's like, you feel that kind of perpetual high. Like I have not slept in 2 days. I was out in the woods with my bow, hunting deer in my tree stand. I burned through a phone battery in my morning hunt, just reading everything I could, following everything. And I did the same thing in the evening too. I went charged my phone up and then burned through it all again. Cause it's like, this just feels like a dream. So now, of course, you got your typical meltdown, which was to be expected. Everybody was talking yesterday about how they wanted to watch The View for the first time ever because the meltdown was going to be epic. And already today, I'm seeing, not just with The View, because this is obviously 2 days after. With The View, though, like with The View, I was seeing all the news coming out from corporate media again today. And it's already just back to what it was. Trump's got unfettered power now. Things are over. Country's going to fall. We're opening up the doors to totalitarianism and authority. Like, it's just, do you want to know why you guys got your asses handed to you in this election? Do you really want to? It's because of that. It's because you guys, people are rejecting you. You don't tell the truth for like, on literally anything. There's just nothing truthful about what you have to say. It's pure propaganda. And on top of that, your idea about the people that voted in this election, it's just like, you all live in this elitist bubble that you don't see how the real world functions. And if you tried to internalize anything for 5 seconds, you would be able to see what you need to do next time if you really wanted to win. People don't want what you have to offer anymore. They're done. You guys blew your shot. In the media, it's like, dude, you went down with the sinking ship. Hope it was worth it. You could have just done your job. You could have just done your job and just, reported the actual truth, or tried to report the truth and actually try to do your job as a journalist and hold government accountable and all this stuff. But like, you didn't do that. You decided to ride the Titanic down to the bottom, and it's over. Like this is it. The media is in its final moments. Will it go away forever? I doubt it, but it will never be what it was. It's over. Stephen Colbert, of course, lost his mind. Jimmy Kimmel basically, started to break down. It's a joke. Absolute joke. Why? Why are these people melting down? Can somebody please tell me why they're melting down? This is what I want to know. I want to know from somebody, if you're somebody that suffers from TDS, or somebody who despises Trump and you're terrified of him, why? What are you scared of? What is actually going to happen? I saw AOC earlier talk about how like America voted in an era of totalitarianism and authoritarianism. And it's like, what's going to happen in a few years when that doesn't happen? Because that's the outcome. It's just not going to happen. There's nothing in the world that signals it's going to happen. So when's this magical thing going to happen? We're about to enter a period of fascism and authoritarian. I'll show you that in a minute. I wanted to. I thought tonight I would just go a little light, and in the aftermath of this election, I just don't really want to. And I didn't go very deep on any other sources and stuff. Read a few news stories, but figured everybody's kind of in this moment where they're talking about this election, talking about the high, or the feeling, what happened. The destruction of it all, the destruction of the system. It's done. This is the View. So they were melting down, of course. And, Joy Behar said, well, this is just the system. America spoke. Basically, this is the democracy we live in. This is what happens. I just have to have faith in the system, which is a good way to look at it. And I thought what was ridiculous most of all was this answer right here. Sunny Hostin, here you go.
I don't know. I'm profoundly disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was America makes a perilous choice. I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power.
Okay, so what does that even mean? She says, we didn't know what we were going to get, and now we know. Please tell me what you learned. What happened during his last administration that signaled it was going to be terrifying going forward? It's like they must just be eating their own stash or something, man, smoking their own stash, because at this point they must have tried to manipulate the American public so much and lie out their ass so egregiously and for so often that they believe it themselves, because that statement is ridiculous. Tell me. I want to know. You say, now we know. Okay, well, what do we know? Because we don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. Yesterday, people searching how to immigrate to a different country or what countries to immigrate to was a trending topic on Google Trends. Why? Please tell me what you think is going to happen. You're going to be offended for the next 4 years? We're going to stop giving money to pointless wars? We're going to cut out all this stupid woke ideology crap That stuff really matters to you that much? You'd rather leave the country? Nobody's going after your abortions. Nobody's going after your... I saw some Elon Musk's, one of his kids who's trans, is leaving the country, trying to leave the country because, of Trump selection, all the anti-trans legislation that's going to happen. What are you even talking about? Like, where in God's green earth has that idea even come from? Besides from your inner circle, from your echo chamber, because it doesn't make any sense. That's just never even been mentioned before.
And so I worry not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher.
Why?
I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have. And I remember my father telling me...
Okay, can we please tell me what rights your daughter lost that you had? What rights? Because there's not a national constitutional guarantee to the freedom of choice. It's up to states' rights. I don't know where The View is filmed or where these people live, but I'm sure where they live, they have not lost any of their rights. Let me continue.
Many years ago, that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So again, I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States, then you should not be prevented from employment in this country, because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons. Well, and so that box better be taken off. And I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion. I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
So there you go. The reason why you rejected that is because you're racist. Also, okay, so everything she just said is complete and utter bullshit. Like, just 100% a crap. I'm trying to go back to the list of what she said. First of all, the civil right, they got your rights taken away. I don't know what rights you're talking about. Nothing's happened. So, yep, Roe v. Wade got overturned, but that hasn't been taken away from you. So that's one thing. The convicted felon thing. Yeah, because there's any legitimacy to those whatsoever. Why is it the minute that Trump gets elected, the DOJ is talking about dropping those charges, and that dude's just going to, Jack Smith is thinking about stepping down? Why is it instantaneously that's the case? Probably because it was just a sham to give him the label of felon, so he wouldn't be able to run. Then you have the insurrection thing. Well, if he was an insurrectionist, then why hasn't he been charged with insurrection? These people, it's just so sickening what they've done to this country, and they just lie. So here we see.
Economists have made clear for convicted felons. Well, and so that box is now at risk. I think
no fluoride.
So the health care system is at risk. I'm assuming because of the Affordable Care Act or something getting rejected, which has done nothing to make healthcare more affordable. Have you tried to, pay for insurance and it used to be required, or else you got a tax penalty, and it made insurance was no cheaper. And insurance sucks now. They don't cover anything, and all that it did was make it so the government has a greater say in your healthcare decisions, which is ironic coming from people that care about things like my women's healthcare rights. I don't want people telling me what I can and cannot do. When if you work in the medical field, you have to like literally write down every stupid minute detail of everything that's relevant or not. It's completely ruined the doctor-patient relationship, and it's just made it convenient for health insurance companies to charge the governments, and charge the patients, ungodly sums of money. And so in that regard, but then Joy Behar goes, no more fluoride for anybody. Do these people not realize that what fluoride can do to your brain? Like, it literally can cause permanent harm to children, and also it can studies are there's these studies talking about how it can actually lower IQ. And in case you aren't aware what fluoride is, it's a waste product. A lot of these byproducts that we put in our food, put in our medicine, put in our water, it's like we got to do something with it. We paid to make these waste products. We need to make our money back on it somehow. I know, we'll put it in food. We'll put it in water. It's like, it's just 100% waste. That's all that it is. And you're putting it in your body as a way to just, I don't know, just to do something with it. So, oh no more fluoride. Like, I don't know about you all, but I have a filter on my. I got a big expensive water filter that filters out fluoride because I don't want that crap in my body. But that's a joke, she said. I don't know if that she's being serious or not, but fluoride is not good for you.
For anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion.
Okay, so that statement there. She says he's going to increase the debt because economists say he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion. Just so you know, in case you listen to my stuff ever, or in case you don't, and this is the first time you've happened upon this, that figure comes from tax breaks. So the implication there is the government will continue to spend the same amount of money. They just won't be able to recoup their losses from taxes. So they can't be expected to cut back on their spending at all, and they can't be expected to do something to curb the expansion of the national debt. That's your problem. You have to pay max taxes so they can blow your money away. And there's absolutely no reason why the government should be spending any of our money, because they don't do anything with it. We have so much debt that you can't even fathom it. If you sat there and tried to wrap your head around that big of a number, you wouldn't be able to come up with it. You can't count to that number in your lifetime. And you got to think about that. And, you get nothing for that money being spent. And this lady, he's going to add $7 trillion to your debt. Well, okay, then the government's just going to have to stop spending as much money as they do, aren't they? That's the only way that's not going to increase by 7 trillion or whatever. But then the last thing she says is, as a woman of color, I was just hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president. But that is, and then she goes, it's not about policy. It's a referendum on the culture or something like that. What would you say? It's right here. A referendum. Hostin interjected with a complete meltdown, blaming cultural resentment. And then she says it was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country. So it was not about policy. Not at all. And you wonder why you guys lost the election. You wonder why you got bodied in this election, dude. Not even a loss. You got annihilated. And you wonder why when you say things like it's not policy, it's just people are bigoted. I was really hopeful that the first mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be like, why does that matter, dude? That doesn't matter. Said the white guy. I'm sure I'm gonna get another one of those morons. That was after the hell's her name? Is it Nancy Trump or something? Said that Trump's Madison Square Garden rally was worse than the Nazi rally of 1939. And when I commented on it, like, that's just wrong, this one person said the white guy. Good one. And so when we had a spat back and forth, and this person said, I can't wait till Kamala Harris mops the floor with you and all the Neanderthals can go back to the cave where they came from. That person blocked me and, deleted our exchange. I have some of the screenshots of it, but yeah, how's that going for you? They also had a pinned tweet on their profile that said, when are we all going to wait till election day to leave X or Twitter or whatever it's called? I thought we all leave now and head over to Threads. And that was 2 weeks later that this person was talking to me after they posted that tweet. They can't walk away from X because Threads is a joke. If you want to have some fun right now, go get your Threads app. I have it because of it's connected to my Instagram or something. I never post in there at all. I was just curious because Mark Zuckerberg, I'll talk about that in a minute, but Mark Zuckerberg, made a comment congratulating Trump, and then the meltdown began, and he made it from Threads, which is his censor-friendly version of Twitter, of Twix. And the meltdown on there was incredible. The people just freaking out. It's like, God, why do people love echo chambers so much? It's like why I like X is because it's not as much of an echo chamber. There's plenty of Truth Social and all that stuff. I don't hang out on there. It's not fun. I want to be on where we can have spats and we can have actual open dialogue and debate and stuff. Plus, it's just better. But this is the problem. She says this is just a referendum of cultural resentment. What does that even mean? Do you want to understand why y'all lost? Yeah, you're right. Part of it was people were rejecting the cultural endeavors of the left because it has been destroying this country. Because it's destroyed our military. It's destroyed our intelligence agencies. It's destroyed our universities. It's destroyed corporate culture. It's been just detrimental to so many things. You're right. The cultural endeavors of the left suck. It's not beneficial to anybody. Except for people that get, jobs out of it that are not qualified for those jobs at the time. But to say that it didn't have to do with policy, it's like, that's why you lost. Because all Harris did for the entirety of her campaign was demonize Donald Trump, call him a fascist, Hitler, a Nazi, whatever. That's all the media did. And even left-wing pundits for a while were saying after Kamala Harris's events, they're like, I don't think she talks about policy enough. She doesn't talk about the economy enough. She had these vague overtures about an opportunity economy like that, but not telling you what that means. Copying and pasting Biden's policies to her own, showing she never really had any major grand visions for the future of this country. Asking you, why did you run for president anyways, right? You have to ask yourself, why did she want to run? So that whole thing was precisely, or not precisely, but a big reason why they got rejected, because people were fed up. People are tired of being demonized when they're busting their ass, just grinding away to make ends meet as our government flushes money down the drain and we get nothing out of it. And we have to get, we get all this like self-righteous virtue signaling and this lecturing and all this stuff. People are done, dude. So yes, it does have to do with policy. In fact, because most normal people that live in the real world, the policy of the Biden-Harris administration has crippled them in so many ways. Despite the fact that, people for what the last few months have been telling us how great the economy is. There was a lot of really dumb ones, but so Whoopi Goldberg said too that she ran a flawless campaign and kicked his butt all over the country. Here we go.
Pundits are asking.
Here you go. This is.
Some pundits are asking what the vice president could have done differently to break through with the voters. Of course, she only had 3 months to campaign, rally. She kicked his butt all over the country over the course of those 2 months. She did every debate, every interview. People kept saying they didn't know who she was, so then she told them who she was. So how much more could she have done? Or should she? I mean, aside from buck naked dancing on the top of the table, I don't know what else she could have done.
I don't think she could have done more. I think she left it all out on the field. I think she raised $1 billion in 3 months. I think that she ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that.
She ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that. She kicked his butt all over the country. She only had a few months to do it. These people are just unbelievable, man. It's the way that the left, the way that they think that you're so stupid and you can't see through you can't just punch holes in every single stupid thing that they say. It's like, why do you even bother trying to sell us on this crap? Now, real quick, while I let him in here, because I just paused it for a second to let him in here. Say hi to Whit. And listen, Whit like really wants his dad to get more followers across all platforms, more subscribers, more likes and comments and stuff. So if you really want to make Whit happy, I mean, look at him. Look how adorable he is. See? Oh, he's a handsome boy. If you want to make him happy, you should like, subscribe, and comment. Do it for Whit, because Whit really appreciates it. He loves his dad so much. He loves to come on here and just do his thing, right? All right, I'll put you in your chair. So anyways, back to it. It's like they think you're all dumb, for starters. They claim you run a flawless campaign. Claim she ran a flawless campaign. Sorry, I'm burning on like no sleep. I've been up for 2 days, basically. Just on the go. Claiming she ran a flawless campaign. Well, she clearly didn't run a flawless campaign because she lost by a lot. Oh, she only had 3 months to do it. Yes, in the complete backing of the corporate media and the government and the establishment politicians and the deep state and everything else pushing her over toward the finish line. And on top of that, you're claiming, she raised $1 billion. She didn't raise anything. You could have literally put a freaking ham sandwich out there, and as a Democrat, it would have raised $1 billion. And they concocted this astroturfed, phenomenon. Like she was the greatest thing that ever happened. When all along they knew that she was a terrible candidate. She's the most unpopular vice president in decades. Probably of all time. she's part of she's probably, I will say, I'm a historian, so there have been some disastrous presidential administrations. But I would say, as an aggregate, across all areas, I'm talking economics, foreign policy, domestic policy, immigration, national security, all these things, Biden's administration has been the worst one that I can think of. And she's the vice president for it. And they have accomplished really nothing of value. And she is that administration. She's the vice president. And she was disliked. And then if you looked at her approval ratings while she was running, she was still greatly disliked. She had ground level approval ratings, high disapproval ratings. She was never popular. It was a terrible candidate choice. And to say she ran a flawless campaign and kicked his butt all over the country, in what way? They have to do this because they probably, I would imagine they knew deep down inside, some of them did, that this was going to be a disaster the whole time. And she was going to lose. And they were putting their, all their energy and their backing into a candidate that was destined to suck. And you go through all that, and like you still know deep down inside she's probably going to lose. But you have to pretend now like she was great, because you stake your credibility on that, and she was always awful. Always terrible. She ran a terrible campaign. And to say she kicked his butt all up and down the country, do they not remember that he took a bullet to the head and was out there campaigning a couple of days later? Do they not remember that? Do they not remember that he was doing as many appearances as she was? He sat down and did a 3-hour episode with Joe Rogan, dude. Like, she did a couple of podcasts that call me daddy or call her daddy or whatever the frick it's called. She did that. But it's like she didn't sit down and do in-depth interviews with a lot of people, and if she did, she got called out for anything, she would just put her foot in her mouth. And what I personally saw when she conceded was relief. I did. She seemed like she was relieved, because that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody who probably didn't ever really want this in the first place. Just kind of was tripping up the stairs, just like somebody else in that administration. But that's how it was. You were somehow getting to the top, stumbling along. I don't think that she ever really wanted it. I think she was surprised that she was the candidate. To say she ran a flawless campaign, it's laughable. The fundraising aspect of it, she took over the Biden war chest. And they're not even sure what the legality of that is, because she didn't get a single vote to be the candidate from the Electoral College. So she ended up just, taking that money, because it's Biden Harris, and so technically the delegates wanted her. She won the delegates too, so that money can go to her. Like, of course they would get away with that. If a Republican tried to do that, it would be. They'd be outrage for days. So that was just one of the funny things that I wanted to show you from yesterday, the meltdowns that occurred. Of course, they wanted to go after X, talking about how in other countries they have what did he say? They have these kids are taught how to spot misinformation from day one or whatever, and we need to basically censorship is the key to everything here. We should be listening to the experts in media. That's the problem. Social media places like X, owned by billionaires with vested interests in a Trump win. you know, they're more inclined to just spread misinformation and disinformation on their social media apps, so they shouldn't be allowed to. But what about Reid Hoffman? That guy's a billionaire. He's giving money to Kamala's campaign. He owns a social media platform. Is that a problem? He owns LinkedIn. That's a social media platform. Is that a problem? Oh, no, of course not. This was it. So this came out a little bit ago. This is Trump talking about what he's going to do to the deep state. And oh my Lord God in heaven, please let this be so.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption.
Go.
Once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And
let's go.
Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
Oh, no.
When possible, we will press criminal charges.
He's going to lock up his political opponents.
We will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee so they do not become the protectors of the deep state.
Yes, sir.
Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with. And then they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Did he say impose or oppose?
By the people amendment to impose term limits
That's
on
impose.
members of Congress.
Dude, like, come on. Please let this happen. So let's go down this list. Remove rogue bureaucrats. Remove corrupt bureaucrats. Go after any agencies who weaponize against American citizens. He said he wants to fix the FISA courts. Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. I'm left-handed. Okay, I scribble things down real fast. It's crazy because I can't, like, this is my life. I carry, like, I have my desk, if you saw right now, there are notebooks everywhere. Like, I am a obsessive note taker. And sometimes it's like I can't even read my own handwriting. Especially when I'm doing that real fast. But declassified documents when in regards to spying on Americans. Executive exercise, something about hoaxes. I got to see that part again. Let's see what that was, the third one, I think. Let's see.
The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled. From FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our...
I couldn't read my own handwriting there. Yeah, so expose them. Expose the hoaxes and abuses of power. Crack down on leakers, giving leaked information to the press. You know, like, hey, we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade tomorrow. Make inspector generals independent. Establish auditing for intelligence agencies. Move bureaucracy outside D.C. Impose term limits. I mean, overall, it's like this sounds like somebody who's learned a thing or two. You know, he was just a normal American. Yes, he was a connected, wealthy American, but, you know, he has been at the receiving end of all of these things. And this is exactly what they were terrified of when he was the candidate. They knew that they could be held accountable for all the corrupt, heinous, horrific things they have done, as they should be. You know, this is what it should be like. We should have people that, if we're going to vote for people, you know, I'm not even saying him in particular, but people alongside him that can advise him into handling this situation, because this has to end. They shouldn't be able to spy on us, dude. They shouldn't be able to read our text messages and you know, have our locations at all times, and they shouldn't be able to basically just do whatever they want whenever they feel like it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And for them to, if he actually exposes the documents about spying on American citizens, that would be, could you imagine? Imagine looking at what you know they did to you, if you could see that. I'm sure it'd be redacted AF, but it'd be pretty crazy to see what they have on all of us, you know, what they're looking at. You can only imagine what they have on every person, but quite incredible stuff for him to say. And to me, that gives me hope. That gives me hope, because that stuff is the problem. The Washington bureaucracy needs to be gutted. For him to be able to fire bureaucrats, I know that was a huge problem when it came to Project 2025 and all this. It's like, this has to happen, dude. This has to happen, because this is kind of something I wanted to talk about briefly, because I had put up a thing on my Substack. It's just, I shared a note. It says, it's a picture of Elon Musk, and it says, Elon Musk wants to get rid of 80% of the federal government. Do you agree? I said yes, and it's blown up. It's got 1,500 likes and plenty of comments, and I've gotten some comments, and one of them is, how many people will lose their jobs though? And the other one is, no, we need experts. We need to have experts. I got to see what it said. It was like, we need an expert class, basically. And to me, it's like, no, we don't, because I just want to get it down completely here. pretty crazy how much. Yeah, 1,300 people have liked it. Let's see here. Of course, it's going to go backwards. I'll just go to the notifications. I just want to make sure I'm. Somebody said, how many people will lose their jobs? And this one said, we need specialized experts in every domain. Like, that's the lie you're being told. These people are not specialized experts in anything. They all do a terrible job at what they do. That was the original intention behind it. That's what Woodrow Wilson wanted. He wanted us peasants to go about our normal days and have a expert class that could just, tell us what to do and when to do it. That's the goal of government. After all, when it's a big enough government, they want to be able to micromanage your life. And so to that statement, there's nothing. You need to take a look at how federal government works. It is ungodly the amount of regulation that goes on. There are so many people in our bloated blob that are worthless, that do nothing except for just handle the mountains of regulation that we have. There's plenty of people that do nothing at all. And guess what? Let's say you hire me because you're like, I don't know what office of the historian or something, right? I know like the National Park Service has them or whatever. I'm trying to think of like a position that I could get hired in. I don't know what. Let's just say you hire me to work in like the FDA or something, and I'm out, and you have a farm or something, and you need the FDA to come out and inspect it, and that's on me to do. And I don't know, I'm busy. You know what? I'll make an appointment. I'll show up at your place in 2 months at 5. Well, I need it now because I need to like get this thing rolling. Well, sorry, I'll get there when I can, right? And on that day, I don't show up. So you're pissed. You call again. You schedule again. All right, I'll be there, and I don't show up. And now it's a year later. Nothing's been accomplished. You call me 100 times, a day. I don't answer. What do you do about that? There's nothing you can do about that. You can't fire me. You can't complain to anybody about me. This is just how we do things. That's the issue with this big bureaucracy. They can just you cannot hold them accountable for anything. You can't complain to anybody. They're there whether you like it or not, and you have to go through them. It's not a free market thing, right? Like, man, I wanted to shop at your grocery store, but the checkout lines are way too long and there's nobody ever working there, so screw off, I'm going somewhere else. That would motivate somebody to go, okay, well, I guess I need to hire better staff and more of it, right? Or something like that. With the government, they don't give a crap. They don't care. And there's nothing you could do about it. So no. And this expert class thing is, I don't need an expert to tell me how to live my life, because guess what? The experts have screwed up this country exponentially, dude. Tell me where the experts have gotten this right. Remember those experts that were crushing other experts during the COVID pandemic? Anybody who had a dissenting opinion, people with PhDs and scientists from, small-time schools like Stanford and Harvard. When they had dissenting opinions, you were told they were espousing dis and misinformation. They are conspiracy theorists. And the real experts are the ones that sign over checks from the government to research labs and think tanks and things like that. Those are the real experts. The whole expert thing is an illusion, because there is no such thing as any entity that will be right 100% of the time. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. It will never happen. So that's how this goes with your expert class. So no, I don't agree with you at all, because we've given the experts their shot and they screwed it up. And now when it comes to how many people will lose their jobs, I don't really care. I can't find a good job to save my life. I have a family, I have kids, I have a wife in medical school, I have a PhD and a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, and I have years of working experience. It's like, I'm trying to make ends meet and I can't. Why do I have to feel bad? But then if I'm working, I'm a taxpayer. I'm paying the salary of these people who do nothing but make life more difficult for people. And the reason why I have a hard time finding a job, the reason why the economy sucks so bad, the reason why inflation is so high is because of this organism that sucks up all our resources. So no, I think I'm a free market capitalist. I believe wholeheartedly that everything should just be in that realm. I don't believe that the government should be this massive thing that just destroys our economy at my expense, because that's just the way it should be. So there's just so many things I could I'm all over the place. My brain is addled and tired. I wanted to show this real quick because this is just ironic. I get this thing about Trump, him talking about slashing the bureaucracy and the deep state, when I saw this from the FBI. This is from just a few hours ago. A statement on offensive and racist text messages. FBI statement on offensive and racist text messages. FBI is aware of the offensive and racist text messages sent to individuals around the country and is in contact with the Justice Department and other federal authorities on the matter. As always, we encourage members of the public to report threats of physical violence to local law enforcement authorities. What? Read this again, everybody. The FBI is aware of offensive and racist text messages sent to individuals and is in contact with the Justice Department. In what world is racist and offensive text messages against the law? And how are they aware of it? Then you see Trump's message and you're like, you know what? That's why that has to go. Because there's no law against offending anybody. It's not illegal to offend somebody, whether it's a text message or not. And for you to contact the Justice Department over an offensive text message is a complete gross overreach. Okay? The FBI doesn't exist for this type of thing. The FBI exists to investigate crimes, actual crimes, not spy on Americans. What a joke. The comments are pretty great, though. People are obviously not happy about it because why would they be? Y'all worried about offensive text messages while illegal criminals are killing Americans. Some Valentina Gomez says F you. Like the fact that you posted this, you just verified what so many people voted for this administration for. You just verified their reasons. So this is just there's so many things I could talk about. I don't want to be doing this for 3 hours because I could, but I gotta drive. I got a long drive tomorrow. I gotta be out for the weekend, so I can't stay up too late doing this. But I wanted to get into a lot of things. That's just it's just not gonna happen today. But so one more thing on Twitter I wanted to talk about, which I'll have to save these for a different show. All these other ones, and I have a few other articles I wanted to discuss. Maybe like an hour and a half episode tonight. Elon Musk's trans daughter announces she's leaving the U.S. after Donald Trump's presidential victory. According to this tweet, I've thought about it for a while, but yesterday confirmed it for me. I don't see my future being in the U.S., even if he's only in office for 4 years. Even if the anti-trans regulations magically don't happen, the people willingly voted this in are not going anywhere anytime soon. You're right. So, first of all, it's pretty wild that, like, what is this legislation that's supposed to happen? Like, please, what are you talking about? I don't know what he his kid says, even if the anti-trans legislation doesn't magically happen, I don't understand what you're talking about. Was there supposed to be anti-trans legislation? Well, of course it is, because it's just conservatives. Conservatives are just bigoted, hateful, people that are just terrified of the trans community, and they're just going to want to abolish it now that they have the power, right? Which is ridiculous. Donald Trump is very much a old school Democrat. Everybody, he has, he has pretty loose restrictions when it comes to things like abortion. He isn't going to touch that stuff regardless of whatever they told you about Project 2025. It was never in the books. And this, he was one of the first presidents ever to be pro-gay marriage. And he did run as a conservative when that happened. I remember when he won in 2016, a lot of people I know, like a lot of the gay people that I know that are gay, were talking about how they're going to be hunted down on the streets and it's going to be horrible and everything's going to be terrible. It's like, what are you even talking about? When did this happen? And then he was president before and those things didn't happen. And you're saying, well, when this magically doesn't happen this time, it's like there's nothing there. Nothing at all. Oh man, there's so many things I want to talk about tonight. Let me just do one more tweet here. Just to show you, in light of what I'm talking about with that, like whatever you're talking about is going to happen actually will not happen. Okay? It's not going to happen. There's no reason to think it's going to happen. It's just this fantasy you built up in your head. But here you have AOC, which I hate listening to her talk, but here we go.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives. We cannot give up. We now find ourselves in a time in history that has precedent, and we find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism.
Okay, so according to AOC, we are entering a time of fascism and authoritarianism. So in a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, let's say when Trump's no longer in office and this doesn't ever come to fruition, like you're just not going to mention that ever again? Oops, I was wrong. He was president before. And fascism and totalitarianism didn't happen. Or authoritarianism didn't happen. Like, I don't know what you're actually talking about. You're just fear-mongering. People come together to protect each other during these times. There's precedent here. People come together to protect each other in times like this. Okay, like what time are you talking about? You're talking about World War II, aren't you? Like this constant reference to World War II. Everybody, fascism was largely eradicated from the world 80 years ago. And global governments around the globe did a very, very, very thorough job of making sure that it was demonized thoroughly, okay? I can't imagine there's a whole lot of people out there that would consider themselves fascism, considering from like the time you're an infant, we all learn about who the worst person in history was. And it's the guy you've been comparing, the president-elect to for the whole time. But anyways, but we also have lived in a time where socialism and communism and all these other things have actually been going on. But you never compare history to those times. Interesting, huh? But she's saying this. Entering a time of fascism and authoritarianism. In what way? Please tell me what you're talking about. Because fascism is something that many people on the left and the establishment obviously don't know what it is. I keep saying things like, oh, that he's the textbook definition of fascist. You know, he is, or conservatives are like, you know, they are meeting the very descriptor of what fascism is. It's like, what is fascism then? And you'll see this. I saw an ABC News poll where they'd ask people whether Trump was a fascist or not, or whether Kamala Harris was. Of course, Trump was a fascist, and their definition of fascism wasn't fascism. It was basically just the definition of a dictatorship. They said fascism was a radical political. It was like a radical. I gotta find it now. Hold on. Here it is. This is the poll. It says that a fascist was defined as a political extremist who seeks to act as a dictator, disregards individual rights, and threatens to or uses force against their opponents. And it's funny because that is stuff the United States government does all the time. But also, that's not what a fascist is. That's just a dictator. Someone who wants to act as a dictator, take away individual rights, and threatens or uses force against their opponents as a fascist. That's just authoritarianism in general. That's just a dictatorship, dude. And if you take out the dictator part and just say they disregard individual rights or threaten to use force against their opponents, like that's the United States government, dude. They literally squash your individual rights all the time. You know, right now there are federal intelligence agencies going after social media and pressuring them to censor people. Like, sounds a lot like they're trying to, threaten to go after people too. And in many regards, like, if you don't pay your taxes, what's going to happen? Well, the government's going to come after you. Whatever. But this idea that Trump's a fascist, it's like, well, AOC claiming this is an era of fascism and authoritarianism, and it's just like, you don't know what fascism even means. You don't even know what you're talking about. Please explain to me what you mean by this is an era of authoritarianism, because I don't know what you were talking about. Is it because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, or because Trump's going to come in and clean out the deep state, drain the swamp, gut the bureaucracy? Is that what fascism and authoritarianism is? We need the government there to protect us. This is also a person who was just a couple weeks ago saying that we need to get rid of the filibuster. It's got to go. Do you think that if AOC had it her way and there was a Democrat majority in the House, the Senate, they had the presidency and the Supreme Court, do you think that she would hold back for 2 seconds? Or do you think she would do whatever she wanted and pass all of her stupid agenda, all of her Green New Deal garbage? Oh, she would do it in a heartbeat. I promise you. But it wouldn't be authoritarianism when she does it, because, she's doing it because she's a Democrat, so she's a good person. But, Republicans have been in this position before and did nothing with it, so I'm not getting my hopes up too much. Interestingly enough, things kind of went wild after Trump got elected, where the market started to skyrocket. Bitcoin went up. You saw world leaders congratulating him, world leaders contacting him. You saw business leaders contacting him. It's crazy how the tune immediately changes about him when he wins. And it's not because he's going to go after all these people. If you are somebody in government and you have weaponized government against American citizens, you've been part of corrupt bureaucracy, you have partaken in like spying rings, and you have spied on political candidates, and you have made up new laws to try to take out your political opposition, and you have done all these crazy things. Sorry, you deserve to have repercussions for that. Because this country was designed in such a way with the sole purpose of its existence as a rejection of that kind of stuff. So if Trump is going to come in and he's going to fire people who illegally used government to go after American citizens, I don't have sympathy for them. There's nothing dangerous about that. If you want to protect people that do that, you need to get your head checked. And I think a big problem with that is you think it's okay because they're doing it for the betterment of your side. That's a dangerous precedent to set. Just like talking about AOC with the filibuster thing. Imagine they had won everything, got rid of the filibuster, right? Imagine they had gotten rid of the filibuster a week ago, before the election, because they thought they had this thing in the bag. But he gets elected, right? And the filibuster's gone, let's say. Yes, of course, you could argue, they could just put it back in place. But, let's just say they don't. And all of a sudden, Republicans have the majority. I can pretty much guarantee they would want the filibuster back pretty damn fast. Just like if they were to pack the Supreme Court, and then what if Republicans won, and then they decide, okay, well, we're going to do it too. I'm sure they would cry foul big time. I mean, you're talking like that's authoritarianism if the right does it, but it's okay if the left does it. Just like it's okay to subvert democracy to protect democracy. We have to lie to save democracy. Because we're on the good side. We're the good guys. We're the smart team, the good team. That's the way they are. This article came out from Breitbart today. Can't even think about what day it is. So Jeff Bezos, founder and chairman of Amazon, congratulates. The title of this is Tech Leaders of Amazon, Apple, Meta, Google say they look forward to working with Trump. Bezos, the founder and chairman of Amazon, congratulated President-elect Trump on Wednesday for an extraordinary political comeback and decisive victory. In case you don't remember, he did not allow the Washington Post to endorse a candidate, costing him 250,000 subscribers and much of his editorial staff, including neocon Robert Kagan, who is a stand-up gentleman who was one of the big proponents and reasons why we invaded Iraq in 2003. Married to Victoria Nuland, of all people. Amazon CEO congratulated Trump for a hard-fought victory. We look forward to working. Look forward to working with you in your administration. Apple CEO Tim Cook congratulated Trump. And then Zuckerberg did, as well as the CEO of Google parent Alphabet. Now Zuckerberg on Threads, which is the stupid, pointless thing where they made it as Twitter with censorship. These are the comments, which, it's Threads. It's just a leftist dumping ground. There was one I saw that was like, you have $3. Look at this. he cheated. Is this, let's see, is it, what's the, here are the comments. Like some of these could just be people screwing around, but there were things floating around yesterday. You know, Kamala, like hashtag Kamala don't certify was trending, along with not my president. Remember that was a big thing last time. So what do you think about this whole big tech thing with these people, you know, giving Trump a nice pat on the back? Because this is a big group of people who have been very actively partaking in the offensive against him becoming president. And they have been censoring conservative voices for a very long time now. You're going after, you know, they're afraid he's going to come after them. Should he? Like, all right, like YouTube. I'm not big on YouTube. I just started my channel. You know, I was getting like a couple dozen views a video. Then nothing. Not a single view for like 10 days now on any of my videos. I am 100% convinced they have just completely flagged my account and shadow banned me, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to get viewers on there ever again. We'll see what happens now that the election's over. But, you know, I was getting a few subscribers. Like, people would read my stuff or watch my stuff and they would subscribe. But I'm on, you know, but like, are they nervous now that, hey, we could be screwed here? We could be busted. Also, oh, he's talking about opening up files when it comes to spying on Americans. Is he going to look into stuff about censorship? Is he going to see that we're in cahoots with the federal government and the investigative agencies? Probably. And all these people are probably terrified because they know they have been actively working alongside, or at least in the interest of, the establishment that just got rejected by millions. Not only should they, it's like they shouldn't just be scared of Trump. They should look at this as a referendum. They should look at this and go, people are rejecting the thing we've been protecting. The Democrats and the establishment are taking us down with the ship. That's what Jeff Bezos said when he decided not to endorse a candidate through the Washington Post. He said, if I endorse a candidate to the Washington Post, it's just going to guarantee that I look biased. My paper does. And trust me, nobody thinks that the Washington Post is nobody thinks the Washington Post is a neutral thing, okay? It's very much leftist. But he said, you know, he wants to hire more conservatives to work in their opinion area or whatever. Good for him, but he's right. You know, journalists in general are the most distrusted of all professions. More distrusted than Congress. And Bezos would like to mend that. You know, mend that distrust. He would like to fix the issue there. If he is going to endorse a candidate through his paper, you're just guaranteeing you're only offering a viewpoint to one side. And so many people canceled their subscription because they've been manipulated into believing that this guy getting elected, Trump, was such an existential threat. And the paper needed to stand strong to save America. Well, an endorsement from the Washington Post will do nothing to help, Kamala win. Also, I'm sure Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns effing Amazon, really cries about losing subscribers to the Washington Post. those people that canceled their Washington Post subscriptions probably had crap shipped to their house from Amazon that day. So, but he's right. Like, the credibility of media crashed along with the acceptance of the establishment, the acceptance of the political elites, the acceptance of the deep state, like all that stuff crashed. The media went down with it because the media was just protecting them. Trump in this election did the podcast thing. He hit every major podcast that he could. That was the key to winning this election. Now, if you read my newsletter, which is the link is below, check out my website, historyonaWhim.com/join or die being one word, historyonawhim.com. So, history on WHIM.com/join or die is the news section of my website. The other part's my history part. Sorry for chewing the cough drop in the thing. But if you read my stuff at all, the change in voting demographics shows that Gen Z moved more conservative. They moved towards voting more toward Trump this time, as did blacks and Latinos. So younger people don't watch mainstream media or legacy media. It's over. And the generation of people that do are, sadly, they're dying out. The boomers, and they're a very unhealthy generation. I don't know how much longer, like, they're going to be a huge component when it comes to future media endeavors. So, that's the last those are the last holdouts when it comes to buying into actual corporate media. And, like, the younger people, they're all about the podcast, man. They're all about social media. So Trump was smart by doing that and saying, screw the media. He didn't need the media. We just proved we have hit an era in history where don't need the media anymore. The corporate media, they know that. The writing's on the wall. If you want to watch epic meltdowns, go through and find, Morning Joe and The View and Rachel Maddow and all these people, because it's hilarious. They can cry all they want, but guess what? They were the reason why they lost, or part of the reason why they lost, because all they did was destroy their own credibility and sink that ship. So for Jeff Bezos to go, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I would like to actually go in the direction, because that's good business sense, to go in the direction of the people. Now, when it comes to people like Zuckerberg famously banned Trump's account. I don't know if it was him exactly, but Facebook had banned Trump's account. They were kicking people offline that were Trump supporters. They have been really brutal when it comes to censoring and moderating their platform by flagging conservatives, suspending their accounts, shadow banning people. He's all excited, and it's like, this is a guy that is don't trust him. Okay, I know a lot of people say, I don't trust Elon Musk. Elon Musk is all about free speech, and I gotta say, thank God Elon Musk bought X, because that is a huge reason why this election went the way it did. So that's why Elon Musk was always a threat. But with Zuckerberg, do not trust him, because he created Threads for a reason. Because when Musk bought X, it was all about free speech. And Zuckerberg basically started Threads as a way for people to have a safe space and use a platform like Twitter, which they will never go to Threads. I know Threads claims to have a high user base. It's because they connected it to all the other social media. In Facebook, that platform has been killed by its own moderators, by Meta itself. I mean, they've done a good job of destroying their own platform. Instagram is obviously very popular, but I don't trust Zuckerberg. I don't. I think that he is swaying with the wind depending on who is in office. He played ball with the feds and the FBI and the investigative agencies, and he admitted it. But I think that was more of a I need to cover my ass than anything else. So, I really my hope, because I know like Ted Cruz won re-election, is that social media gets held accountable and makes it a fair place to exchange ideas across all social media platforms. I would love nothing more than YouTube to have to allow equal reach for both sides. And not put people out there that are just going to automatically censor conservatives on YouTube. Like people that are they're just hell-bent on their crusade to shut down discourse. That's what I hope. Because YouTube, it's the biggest video platform in the world. It should be open to all social media creators, whether you have opinions that Google and Alphabet disagree with or not. You should have every right to make a living. I don't make any money at all doing this. I do that to be honest with you, between my website, my Substack writing, my videos, my podcasts, I've been working because I'm just starting doing this. I've been doing this since the end of July. Since the end of July, right? Yeah. I've been working 70 hours a week trying to get this stuff up and going. I don't make any money doing this at all. Nothing. For me to put all that time and energy into doing this, because I believe in what I'm doing and I believe it'll grow slowly but surely. I have every right to make a living putting in the effort that I do by using these platforms that exist for content creators and people that want to do stuff like this. It should not be up to the social media company to turn it down simply because they don't like the things you have to say. You are impeding with the ability with the ability that people have to make a living. You're stepping in the way of my ability to make a living. And I work ask my wife. I've been getting 4 hours of sleep a night for a few months now. I spend hours every day writing, trying to grow this, trying to learn how to do everything. I try to spread it around. I read articles about history, economics, politics, the news. I read world news. I read things about foreign policy. I have been breathing this stuff, eating this stuff, sleeping this stuff. I don't make any money. I don't make a dime. And I'm hoping that someday I can, because I don't think you can go on at that rate and never make anything, which I'm hoping I grow. But in that regard, like these social media companies are stepping on my toes. They're pushing me. They don't want me on there because I don't agree with what they stand for. So I hope to God that somebody can at least hold them accountable in a way where they're not allowed to just censor people because they are not. They're not an editor. They are there as a service for people that want to create on their platform. And thank God there are plenty of other platforms out there that are willing to have you on there and abide by free speech, because that's what matters. But I think some of the biggest platforms in the world, like YouTube, like Facebook, like TikTok and stuff like that, like they, you should have every right to have your voice heard. If you're not harming anybody, to them it's like, well, your viewpoint I disagree with, that's harming to me. Well, it's not. So I hope things change. I really do. I want things to change. I want things to change for people in social media. People using social media can have a chance to earn a living doing what they do and not get not get taken down by moderators who have nothing better to do than to hate you. You know, they get to make money doing what they do. They get to make money while you literally just claw your way through what you're doing, making pennies. Okay, I make literal pennies doing this. You know, well, they don't have to do any of that stuff. They don't have to feed their kids making content that's getting flagged or getting shadow banned all the time. It's crap. And if you're doing that and you're proud of that fact, like, yeah, I don't know, maybe you just don't have a soul, honestly. So, all right, well, I'm going to cut off here. Enjoy this weekend, because man, it feels good to have hope again, doesn't it? I will be back with you all probably Monday. I'll be gone for the whole weekend. Got some stuff going on. I will put out my writing stuff. Check out the website if you're interested in that. I will be back Monday with the podcast and some commentary on the writing stuff. So check that out. Once again, please like my stuff. Follow me on X. Link in the description. Give me a shout on there. All right. Bye.